Whenever you come up, you just got. I'll turn this off for now, but you just got to plug your stuff in. And
Thank you.
I'll help you whenever. We're going to do department heads first.
Thank you. So that makes me have to sit here and read over
So that tells me the details.
Okay.
We'll start out. I look at mine on my phone and ask the questions.
You had to go back and answer the tax. The 19th, so.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Federal presentations. Anything worthwhile for you guys? Yeah, when you want to do it. Probably go out and start coming next week. Don't matter. Smoke them up, make it grow. I'll give you a holiday on Wednesday. Sorry. That's perfect. It's very clean. If you don't mind,
Coming down as soon as they're.
Hey, John, put that on. Start paying.
Okay, we will forego the pledge. We did it once. Open the exercise and call to order. Please call the roll, Seth.
Mr. Rosanna.
Here.
Mr. Ward.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mr. Cameron.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Mayor Liscan.
Here. Under announcements, we have the minutes of the February 8th, 2024 City Council meeting. It's going to be provided to you guys via email prior to the February 22nd meeting for your review. Under presentations, we have the fourth quarter 2023 quarter reports, department heads. Who will start that? I have the list of the head of the department. We have Eric in front of code enforcement and fire, so let's start with you, Mr. Kobe.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. I provided you guys a report of basically what we ended 2023 on. Budgetary-wise, we're pretty much in line with the last couple of years. Despite the increases in prices of everything, we did pretty well. The SAFER grant is moving right along. We have 3 of the firefighters on now, anticipating the 4th one through the SAFER project to be sworn in Thursday night, and that'll bring us to capacity with the part-time program as well. So that's going well. On the operational front, we've been getting a lot of requests from community residents and from community businesses to do fire walkthroughs. That's going to lead into something bigger here this spring once we get the inspectors in place. That's moving along well. Our smoke detector program is going really well. We're up to about 430 units installed at this point, so it's helping to make our town a safer place to live. Our call volume last year was pretty much on pace with the last 2 years. With the advent of COVID, those numbers went up and they haven't declined. So we're right about where we usually are. Do you guys have any questions for me as far as
Hey,
what I
Mike, you
submitted?
said we're swearing in the firemen Thursday night? How
Yes,
many?
sir.
Just one?
1 full-time, 3 part-time.
All of them will be here that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Eric, you good? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay,
Great night, everybody.
Brian, you have Parks and Recreation, so let's get, there he is, Mr. Heckler here,
How you guys doing tonight?
please. Good.
Our quarterly report for the last quarter, we also, we have the new program started with the tracking of our work orders. That's one of the reports, and then I do the other 2. But as far as our department, same thing, we stay within our budget. I haven't gone in over anything with the budget. Pretty much in line with every year I've been here. The fourth quarter for us is a little bit different just because we do a lot of the decorating downtown. So some of the other things you'll see in the report, like patching and things like that, go down at that time of the year. We decorate for Cascade of Lights. So that's why that work order is important that we do now with the tracking of everything, signs, pickups, potholes. We're still hot patching now, as you see. We've been hot patching all year. We've been out for the last month hot patching, where we'll be out all this week because the weather's good. So as far as the park, same thing. Decorated for Cascade of Lights, tearing it down. We're totally, completely tore down, which is early for us. We got the tree down. So besides that, anything else for me?
Hey, Brian, on Friday, I called you up, that storm hit so fast.
Well,
And I didn't expect it, I don't think you guys expected it either, did you?
yeah,
We did expect
we
that?
brined all day. We didn't expect that much.
Yeah.
It called for coating to an inch up until 11 o'clock at night.
But
So we brined all day.
you did, you guys did a great job.
We had a crew out. We were out from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. It stopped snowing, went home, everything was cleared, and it started snowing again. So I got a second crew out. Just a breakdown of how that works. These guys don't work all night. So LEOC called for Hills and Bridges. I called the guy for Hills and Bridges. I told him, let me know if it's bad. He, on his way in, he said it's getting bad, so I just called out a whole crew, or as many as I could get. So just for the new guys, we have 6 10-ton trucks, 2 1-tonners, and a loader. So that's what I need to have a full crew out.
You did a great job. I called you 20 minutes later after I called you, streets were just getting clear.
And one other thing,
Great
when it's
job.
that cold, thank you, is the salt doesn't work like it does when it's 32. And when it's that cold, it takes a while.
Did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, guys?
Do we have, I know there was talk about we were getting information on having central air and heating at the Cascade Park. Do we have any information? I know we probably don't want to discuss it publicly in case we go out to bid, but.
I think it's still in the works, we can get
It
anything
is.
hard yet.
Yeah, I can lend to that. We had, Albert Contest, he's a general contractor, so he's getting all his guys in there. Some of them are slow in coming. But I talked to him today, he said he's probably gonna have the numbers with us, for us within a week or so. Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay, good. Okay, police department, we have Chief, oh, there he is, Chief Kumar.
Before Kumho comes up, we're still, we just were able to hire for public works real quick, 2 guys recently, so we're still down 3 on that, supposed to be at capacity for that department. But, they're trickling in slowly. We've been trying to implement new and different things, talking to, again, we've always talked to the Newcastle School of Trades, but I've been engaged with the Career Link and do, like a monthly veteran. We just got one, a gentleman who has a CDL, so we're working in, looking at the bus, any other folks that used to work for the buses here locally, and then some of the surrounding community, so we're, it's tough to hire anywhere, and we're feeling that, challenge as well, but we're implementing different strategies and trying to attract different, ways to get CDL individuals into the department.
Okay, Chief.
Good afternoon. It's my first presentation of this. I did work with Chief Salem in preparing it, so I thank him for his assistance. And basically, I just highlighted a few of the things that we did in the final quarter, mainly the Shop with Caught program again. We did do a newer program, which is going to the nursing homes and giving out gift bags to residents of a couple different nursing homes. We have our Officer of the Quarter presentation coming up hopefully this week from that quarter. As far as the police statistics, our overall calls for service were up for the year, which in turn our traffic and non-traffic citations were up for the year, and I don't have the arrest totals on here, but I'm sure they are up for the year. We have a pretty good young department with aggressive officers, so I see that continuing to increase as far as the solvability of cases and the number of complaints and criminal complaints and citations issued. As far as budgetary stuff, we came in under budget for the year. We were slightly over the overtime budget, even more so than 22. And I attribute that to a couple of specific details that we had through the year. Kind of a street cops program we did where we called out overtime for specific issues of nuisance problems around town, stolen vehicles, vehicle break-ins, that kind of stuff, which we had success with. And also we were out at Cascade Park most of the summer, 3 to 4 days a week, 4-hour shifts, just keeping an eye out, kicking people out from the water, and trying to curb the vandalism that was going on in there. I think Mr. Heichel will tell you we kind of shut it down for a few weeks there, and it started again, so we just kept it in place through the whole summer. So that's why I'm thinking we're a little bit higher on our overtime expenditure for last year. But again, we came in slightly under budget, so I was kind of satisfied with that end result.
Excellent. Hey, Dave, we talked about it earlier. Good chance, when the weather breaks, we like to see some policemen walking downtown.
Yes.
And we think that's essential. More and more in downtown, and we talk to the business owners, they think it's imperative, and they want to see that. What are our chances? How are we going to do this?
It's going to happen.
Good.
I had to sit down with every officer on the department prior to having the department meeting last week, so I explained to them that that's of utmost importance to you guys and the downtown business people. In reality, if you look at the numbers, there's not a lot of high crime areas down there, not a lot of reported crime down there, but the perception is that it's not safe down there, so we're going to change that perception by having a strong presence.
Excellent, excellent. Glad to hear.
Mark, I'd like to make a comment if I can.
Sure.
I'd like to congratulate you, Chief, and let the rest of the council and everyone know I got a couple complaints from some business people downtown that they were parking where they shouldn't have been parking, or they were parking there too long. And I let Chief Kumo know about it on, I think it's been 2 different instances. And he immediately took care of it, he immediately tagged them, and the business owners were extremely grateful for what you did. So I want to thank you publicly for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Community and Economic Development and Zoning. Yeah, Brian, anything to report? We catch you by surprise.
I used to be in public office.
I was gonna say, he's used to this.
I'll give you a real brief report. The first project of the CDC that's underway here is the vacant lot between Butts Flowers and Cindy's Femme Clothing Store. Construction started on that wall a few weeks ago. Mr. Fry was down there with me. They did run into a little issue with the wall. There were some more structural issues than we had thought, so there's going to be a slight change order on that. But that project has started, and I have the updated drawings. I had sent a week or so ago to council drawings of that pocket park, and we now have the final drawings and the cost estimate. The good news is the cost estimate looks like we're going to come in just under budget for that project, so I'll keep you updated over the next few weeks, but we're excited about that. It's going to make a positive difference when you drive down East Washington Street here in the next few months. Other than that, Mr. Fry and I have been pursuing several different leads into potential funding sources from the federal government and the state government, and we'll continue. I work closely with them on a regular basis, and I've met with a lot of business and property owners downtown already. My CDC board meets tomorrow, the 3rd Tuesday of every month. Council members are always welcome to stop down at the Confluence. And again, I know last month we had tried to set up a meeting between my CDC board and all of you, but nobody's schedule messed up. But I'm still willing to set that meeting up here in the near future. So I'm excited about the progress we made in the first month, and I'll continue to work closely with the administrator on a day-in and day-out basis, and I will keep all of you informed as we make further progress. I'll take any questions if anybody has any questions.
We're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance here, I think that's you there, Steph. And Chris?
Okay. I mean, as far as finance, as far as operational, we still are closing the year for 2023. So we are required to keep the books open for 90 days, because we report on a modified accrual basis of accounting. So what that means is anything we receive or expend in January, February, and March that's attributable to the prior year, it needs to be recorded that way. So we are not required to record our final numbers to DCD, unaudited numbers, until April 1st, and that's why. So once that report is filed, you will be given a copy of that. The auditor typically starts in May, and then those will be the final numbers for 23. And then this year will also be a audit of the pension. They're biannual, so it's every 2 years. So they'll be auditing 22 and 23, and they typically are here in July and August. So that's really all I have to report for finance as far as prior. Now, the financials of Sylvan are included in here. I just do the numbers. Anything programmatic, Brian would be able to answer, but this is the first year in probably, 5 or so that we have had a loss. The loss was about $6,800, $6,200. So the general fund will get reimbursed $6,200 because Sylvan needs to be self-sustaining. Part of that was because of the insurance for all of the new carts. We worked with our insurance broker as part of the renewal, and they're gonna code those carts a little bit differently, and some of you existing council members saw the insurance on those carts are gonna be a little bit less.
Unexpected?
It was unexpected in the sense that it did increase, but it wasn't unexpected in that it was in the budget. So we knew what it was gonna be when we did the 23 budget. So it was an expected expense, but it was higher than it has been in prior years. And when I looked at his expenses, truthfully, there was nothing that stood out to me that was excessive. I mean, even his salaries were down, frankly. liability hurt them, and taking over the pro shop, he does have quite a bit of inventory sitting out there, so you could see that the expenses are higher than what we brought in, but hopefully he sells that here in the spring without buying some more stuff, and that will kind of, wash out. So those were probably the two biggest changes from 22 to 23. Memberships are declining, but that's consistent. They've been declining. But play was about the same in 23 as it was in 20 during COVID, which was one of our highest years. So I'm optimistic that it was a one-time thing. But we do have to return that money to the general fund because we can't use taxpayer money to
I was out there today.
Okay.
And we were going over some things, and we have a lot of surplus stuff for the apparel and things to sell that we won't have to purchase that now. So we can just use that and sell it. And we went over a number of things there. So obviously, we like to do our best. That place should be self-sustaining. There's no question about it. It needs to be self-sustaining. It should be self-sustaining. Now that we've had a number of golf courses in the area that's closed, us in Castle Hills are really the only ones doing business in the golf outside of Tamla, Shanner, and I believe Green Meadows closed as well.
How about Stonecrest?
Stonecrest. So, I look for us to do so a lot better this year.
The final thing I have for finance would be January is always a slow month. We're pretty much paying bills, from prior year, getting money from prior year. But tax bills did get mailed out on the 12th, which is about 2.5 weeks earlier than last year, and people have been paying. So discounts not due until May 31st. But as the tax bills go out, obviously that's our primary source of money. So the money's coming in now to pay, future bills. And we have cash carryover, so we didn't need a tax anticipation note. We were able to fund January with money that we had carried over from prior year. So that's all I have.
Okay, questions? Okay, moving on.
We forgot code enforcement.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry, yeah. We did, yes. Code, I'm sorry, Mr. Chaffee.
Before John gets up, if anybody has any questions for zoning, Doug may have gotten mixed up with today's date, staff had off.
Yeah.
So if you need me to, I can request them to come on Thursday if you guys have specific questions or reach out to them. But zoning's pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Good evening. The Newcastle Code Enforcement fourth quarter report for 2023. I think you guys all have a copy of it. If you want to just take a look at it real quick, I can explain some of the areas of what we did here. For instance, the hearings for the quarter, we had 15 hearings at the magistrate level. Those aren't included in Housing Code Board of Appeals hearings. We issued 29 citations, condemned 2 structures. Consent to demolish means we had 2 individuals sign consents to demolish their structures, and it was notarized and sent to us. That saved us a lot of paperwork. Property emergency demolition or structures that caught fire or are either in the process of collapsing or falling. We did 3 of those. 3 of those notices went out. We had 22 intended demolition notices, and the intended demolition notices are what happens at the end of a regular property maintenance or a property demolition order notice. Typically, we give 4 months to repair or demolish a structure. When that expires, we do a quick title search, and then after that, we send an intended demolition notice out. So we sent 22 intended demolition notices out. That's the final step in the demolition process. Once that expires, then we can actually go out for bids to demolish the structure. We did 2 orders to vacate in the fourth quarter. We did 19 property demolition notices. We sent out 426 property maintenance violation notices, and we did 697 property maintenance re-inspections in the quarter, which brings us to a total, the total violations were 720, which means 720 addresses, and the activities at those addresses amounted to 1,217. So in other words, you had 1 address, might have had 2 violations. The number at the bottom is the violation number. And underneath that, the inspector totals you can see in there. So for department information, the department is currently staffed with 6 full-time employees, including a director. The code enforcement officers are responsible for enforcing the property maintenance violations, issuing vacates, and performing Act 121 inspections. And also, I didn't include it in there, they also testify at court when there's a court hearing on a structure at the magistrate level and at the common police level as well. The code enforcement director basically is responsible to demolish, for the demolition files. I'm responsible for most of the Housing Code Board of Appeals hearings because most of our housing code hearings they have to do with demolition typically. So I'll represent the city in that manner. Emergency demolitions included 508 Croton Avenue, 206 Pine Street, and 304 East North Street. So that reflects back to the first page where it says property emergency demos 3. Those are the 3 properties that were issued the emergency demolition notices. Orders to vacate include 312 South Crawford Avenue and 227 North Crawford Avenue. We had issues there where the landlord wouldn't fix something. We had to vacate tenants in both of those properties. Consent to demolition. Consent to demo included 1009 West State Street, 518 Electric Street, and 712 Cumberland Avenue. Those where we had individuals sign the actual consent order to give the city the right to demolish the structure. And at that point, they consented to us filing a lien as well on the property for the cost of the demolition. Special projects, code enforcement. We're currently working on with the city solicitor on updating our Act 121 process and developing the rental property inspection process. We're in talks with the attorney for David Choi and trying to get him to the table at 301 Last Street so we can try and do something productive with that piece of property.
Mr. Chaffee, on that piece of property, we have some fines pending, correct?
We have citations that are ready to be issued.
Yeah. And what are we waiting
We're
for?
waiting to have a meeting with the attorney
The attorney has...
and Mr. Choi,
Right.
Mr. Fry, yourself.
Right. The attorney has now recused himself from the employee, Mr. Choi.
Okay. I guess
So-
we'll go forward with.
I think we should, we should go forward with, everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Go forward with the
Citations.
citations. There's approximately, how many of them did you say? Did you say 25?
On what? Citations, yes, 25.
25 citations. Yeah, there's no choice.
We're also working on a demolition on 217 North Mill Street, which is owned by Human Service Agency. We're working with their board president. He did state that he received favorable quotes to remove the asbestos or have the asbestos abated. And just recently, last week, I got some calls from a couple contractors in regard to purchasing a demolition permit for that property. So I think there's something in the works with that at this point. So we'll go down to the Act 121 inspections that we did for the quarter. And we did a total of 126 inspections. And we did 121 second inspections, which is a re-inspection for the original Act 121 inspection. It's very difficult to get back in these properties after you do an Act 121 inspection. A lot of the landlords or owners are out of town, and it's just impossible to get in them to do a re-inspection on them. This is where I think that the rental inspection process will help us eliminate that second inspection, because they're going to go, most of them will go through a rental inspection, which will include same type of inspection that we do on the Act 121, only we'll attach a correction order to it. So there'll be a time limit to make those corrections at that time. You had a question for me, Chris?
Oh, no, you got, I'm just thinking you guys are very busy. No, you're wonderful. I don't have any questions.
All right, so, and then you can see the officers' numbers on that as well. And it's getting better. I mean, this is still sort of new, because I think we added 2 employees in I want to say April. So, you know, they're coming along, everybody's getting in the groove. It's just that we're overwhelmed with violations at this time, and it's very busy, it's not even summer yet.
Right.
So, on the next page, it says demolition permits for the quarter. We issued 22 demolition permits, and if you look at them, where it says funding, under that it says private on the first one, 208 South Cedar. That was a private demolition that was done by Carbone Enterprises. The owner of the property obviously called Carbone to tear the structure down. They did get a permit, we inspected it, inspected the sewer cap, took photos of it, and made sure they properly performed the demolition according to city specs. 1615 Pennsylvania Avenue was the same thing, they had a fire. The owner decided to tear it down on his own. He provided the proper insurance, demolished the structure, city, we did the inspection and it was performed properly. Then as we go down further, you'll see Redevelopment Authority of Lawrence County, you'll see the next two. Those are all funded by the Redevelopment Authority of Lawrence County. Those have been completed, 816 and a half South Jefferson Street, 415 East Sheridan Avenue. They also completed 507 East Latin Street Friday. I'm sorry, I'm moving on to CDBG, but Redevelopment Authority, those are funded by the county. Those two have been completed, along with those two. That's it right now. And then as far as our city demo contract that's out there, and our CDBG contract that's been approved, he started working on, Siegel has started knocking structures down, and the first one was 507 East Latin Street. Now he's moved on to 504 East Division Street as we speak. That was down on the ground on Friday, but he's still got to clean the hole out and cap the sewer. And looking at this demolition list, there's also a house that isn't on here. It's 712 Cumberland Avenue that will be included in this demo, under this demo contract, which is coming down as well. So I think that makes 21 city and CDBG funded demolitions, along with 2 private contractors that we issued permits for in the last quarter. And then on the back, it's just the existing demolition files right now. And it's the total, since I did this a couple weeks ago, we've added to that list. There's a couple more that we put on the list. This means basically we've sent out demolition notices on these properties, and the process is in progress. And a 4-month repair demo, do a title search, bring down search, 10-day intended demolition notice follows. So these are all in process of demolition. These are able to be appealed, and I don't believe any of these on here. We don't have any appeals on any of these properties at this time. That doesn't mean somebody can't file an appeal on the last intended demolition notice. But other than that, if you guys have any
Thank you,
questions for me.
Anthony. As a reminder, we have tentatively scheduled tomorrow at 10 o'clock, meeting with the owner of the Days Inn. And we talked about R&R. We called them. They're supposed to send a representative as well. So now, whether or not he's going to show up, I don't know. But he's been informed, and we had him on the phone. So we'll be here.
That's for 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
217 North Middle Street. Are we able to talk to the property owner, just get an update to see where we're at with that and like a time frame for that?
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Thank you, boss.
Yep, no problem.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Anthony, thanks.
Thank you.
We need to hire 10 more. Code enforcement officers. Okay, under presentations B, Farrell Park, by Dawn Enterprises, we do have a request for a public comment. That would be Mr. Wayne E. Randall. So before, Mr. Rice, you're going to make a presentation?
Yes, sir.
I think we may go up a public comment first. Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Mr. Randall?
My name is Wayne Randall, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a 17-year veteran. I live at 808 Court Street. Dawn Services, they're gonna be, they're here to get a grant from you people. I've been working with Brian Heichel for the last 15 years at that playground. I watch it day and night. You can talk to the 911 center. I think they get tired of me calling, but I do watch the place day and night. And there's that daycare, one block down the street. It's called Blessings from Above, right there by Lockley School. The Lockley School itself even has the playground as an evacuation area in case anything ever happens. Like I said, I'd like to see you go ahead and it's about time. Because I've taken thousands of dollars out of my own pocket.
Thank you.
Believe me, I can't even put a number. I mean, I've physically, I've paid people $8 an hour out of my own pocket to paint the swing set. Mr. Heichel gets me to paint. I get a neighborhood kid that wants to make a couple dollars, I pay him out of my own pocket. It's just well overdue. I started the first time, I was 32 years old, when Russo was mayor, and Joe Scrim. If any of you people know him, Joe Scrim. We got the little jungle gym. It's still there, but it's on its way out. That definitely needs replaced. But that's all. I just need your help. And, and I'm getting old. My days are numbered. But I care about my community. And any of you drive by there, you'll see the American flag. There's one flying in my yard day and night. It's on a spotlight. And I built that flagpole out of that's up there right now. Brian Heichel, when I first met him 15 years ago, 14, 15, I'm losing track. They write it down. But I know, like I said, I started when I was 32. This past June, I turned 62. I care about my neighborhood, my community, and my town. As a matter of fact, the chief of police, while I got your attention, we need to address the flagpole on our police station. ASAP. ASAP. I have a problem when I see a naked flagpole. That's the only thing I don't like to see naked. Is an American flagpole. I can't help it. But it's like I said, I'm a 17-year veteran, and it just, and it bothers me. But I know. I talked to Bobby about it, and there's some power lines, but it don't take 30 days to put a rope in a flag up there. If I was 20 years younger, I'd climb the pole myself and put it up there. But I'm getting too old for that. So Dawn Services there, but I know I left you a message. Yeah, for your office. I left your, I said, well, if you don't know who Wayne Randall is, you just ask.
Mr. Randall, thank you for your contribution there. I
Yeah.
had passed there.
But like I said, there's that daycare, and last year, it's called Blessings from Above. Matter of fact, I met the guy the one time, and I believe he's a preacher. But they was up there, I know a half dozen times last summer using it.
Right.
And there's like 75 kids. I was surprised when I heard 75 kids that they maintain pretty much daily in that little. It used to be the church there, but then But like I said, I watch it. Mr. Heichel will tell you. I know he regrets giving me his phone number. I know he does. He's a good guy, and like I said, I watch it all the time. And some of the hoodlums wanted to, in the evening go up and pull their car away in the back and smoke their herb or whatever the hell they was doing, but not with me. You go do that somewhere else. This is a public playground.
Thank you. Mr. Rice.
I didn't know what was gonna happen there, sir.
I'll turn it off for you. Whenever you're ready, just.
I think I am. Let's see. My technology skills is what. Let's do there. That should be it. And I gotta control this. Why am I seeing that little?
It'll go there.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So, city council, I was gonna address the mayor, but he's not there. So, I stand before you. My name is Kenny Rice. I am the president of the board of directors for Dawn Enterprises. I am a 16-plus year employee of Dawn Services, a lifelong citizen of the city of Newcastle, living in the 3rd Ward. Excuse me. So we're here to ask for a resolution from City Council to allow us to do some work up there at Farrell Playground, or shall I say continue to. And I stand here representing Dawn Services. Dawn is an acronym, DON, stands for Disability Options Network. Disability Options Network is the Center for Independent Living that serves the 7 counties in our region. Lawrence being one of it. I want to mention that Dawn Services is the 2nd largest employer in Lawrence County, and we have quite a few initiatives that help try to revitalize the city. One of them is going after the Elm Street designation, which I'm probably standing in your way of seeing, but you do have a piece of paper. The handouts that I gave you will have this and also the map, so that way you guys can allude to that as I read along. So I am accompanied by Mr. Robert DeWarno, who is an attorney for Dawn Dawn Enterprises. And of course, I do want to mention again Mr. Wayne Randall, who is the playground champion up there, and a fellow 3rd Ward citizen. I want to thank Admin Fry for taking our calls. I spoke with Mr. Ritter. He's also lives in our ward and attends our neighborhood watch meetings and volunteers regularly, so we appreciate him for that. And of course, I spoke to Mr. Heichel, being that this is y'all's property, and there's not much we can do up there without your permission. So I'm also thankful to our staff members that helped me not only prepare for this, because I am not a labby type guy, but let's go ahead with the presentation. So, the Elm Street designation is in the East Side Grove area. I mentioned East Side Grove, but it's also known as the Lower East Side, Newcastle, PA, and it encompasses most of the 3rd Ward and a small part of the 4th Ward. The Elm Street program is a neighborhood revitalization initiative intended to be a complete approach to the long-term neighborhood sustainability. Elm Street is one of the DCED's Keystone Community Programs. There is only 4 in the whole state to date. When we got on, it was 2, 3, it fluctuates. But there is 4 in the state today. And it's overseen by the PDC. It has 5 major focus areas: safe, clean, and green, and that deals with the stewardship of the neighborhood, cleaning up. You know, we do the neighborhood watches up there. And completing small community enhancement projects. Several of them go on not only by us, but by other groups and individuals, and we're thankful for them for that. Neighborhood and economy relates to the economy, relationship between the residents, the business, and the neighborhood, the design, handling the physical elements within the neighborhood. And then when we're trying our best to work on it being much more pedestrian friendly, we do not have a good walk score. from the state when it comes to that community. We've improved on it slightly, but there's a lot of work to be done. The image and identity looks to seek to improve the perceptions from both the residents' conception and general public's impression of the neighborhood. As most people know, you heard negative things about the Lower East Side, or what they call them, the tree streets up there, through the years. And I live in the community, so I know it was living up to its bad reputation. There was a lot of things that were going on negatively, and we know that through the garden, through the neighborhood watch, through the initiatives that Dawn's doing, through the Bible Way, Church of God in Christ, and some of the other organizations that's come up there to show the community love, I've witnessed the change. We're changing, we're getting better, and the crime reports prove that. The sustainable organization involves getting various individual groups, organizations, businesses, stakeholders, and volunteers to come together. So in 2021, I was named or asked to be the Elm Street manager. I didn't jump at the job because I knew, well, first of all, what was an Elm Street, and then I knew it was going to be a lot of hard work, and it was, but it's paying off, and we got a great team that's working to help us pull that off. So here's a map of, if I don't do that again, come on technology. All right, here's a map of Elm Street. If I can run through it for you guys real quick, if you start right here at my little, do I have my little thingy-majiggy? Did I leave it in the car? Okay. All right, I don't have my little laser pointer, so we're going to start here. This right here is the corner of East Washington and Croton Avenue. You just run up there. You're going, okay, let's come up East Washington Street till you get to Butler Avenue. You come up Butler Avenue, about a block, a little bit more than a block past John Street. You're going to run an imaginary line and come up here. Up here is at Harding Street. That's just east of the, that would be just east of the Croton Methodist Church. Okay, and then you're going to come down Croton until you meet again at Emphasis. And that's the circumference of Elm Street. It wasn't all our decision on the area. The DCED, PDC, they all had input on where Elm Street was going to be. So now our focus is going to be on this particular area. We are looking to improve Farrell Playground. The Farrell Playground is located at 400 McLean Avenue, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It is 6 blocks up from the courthouse. It is like Mr. Randall had pointed out. If I quit hitting the wrong thing, you know what? I know I did do that now. Okay, this right here, you can see that's the school in the top right-hand corner of this photo. That would be Lockley. And then the blessings from above that was mentioned earlier is right there, a block away from this particular playground. This playground, as you can see in this picture, all right, let's do it this way. I'll keep my hands down here. It's owned by the city of Newcastle. It's a nice sized parcel with about probably, say 60 to 70% of it actually open and being used. The other parts is wooded and kind of hilly. So we're not really talking about the most eastern part of this property, as it would be hard to develop. So while we're talking about some of the things that we want to improve up there, let's talk about a couple things that have already been done up here. This right here is off my Facebook page. This right here is Mr. Brony and his brother themselves and putting the sign up there, because when we held events up there and we said, hey, we're going to Farrell Playground, some people was talking about Farrell, Pennsylvania, and so we had to correct that and try to put up some signage to let them know where Farrell Playground even is. So he worked with us generously, and so does a lot of other agencies and businesses to help us do improvements not only there but in other places. And so I mentioned Dawn Enterprises in West Banco. Dawn Enterprises is the one who holds the Elm Street designation, and West Banco is one of our MPP partners. Dawn Management is another MPP partner. I mention them because I tell people all the time we should support businesses and organizations that support us. It is one thing to bring in money, but to put it into the community, you gotta respect people like that. So we are thankful to them for that, and I'm gonna run through some other things. Here's a picture of the sign. As you can see it coming up Croton Avenue. There's another photo of it. If you can see it sitting up on the hill. And then these lovely people, these amazing individuals. This right here is Chief Salem, his sister Diane, and they brought some groups, youth groups in here, and this is from the Newcastle Police Department's Facebook page. and they gave a shout out that this right here happened in June, July of 21. That they came up there and they revitalized this playground. They built the tires, as you can see, and a lot of life up there. There's some of the other things they did, poured concrete for steps that allowed easier access from Connor Street up to the playground. This right here, this picture right here, I give credit to Debbie Webster, Newcastle News. They did a nice article, not only the youth doing their stuff at that playground, but also throughout the city. So this picture right here is the stairwell finished, and you can give credit to Mr. Wayne Randall and his people for the railing that was put in short time after that. So here's also the youth that were, okay, keep your hands down here, doing the tires. This right here was a, you can see that they built a shelter, they built other tires, things that go in here. Dawn Management installed the basketball hoops for the city. I believe they were purchased by the city, Mr. Heiko and his crew. And then I guess somebody decided they were going to bring up a smaller hoop up there and put it up there for the shorter children to shoot on, which I think is a good idea as well. Now I point out also that beautiful blacktop that's sitting there, and it was, again, going on the Newcastle Police Department's page, donated by Smith Paving. Now they came up there, that blacktop was not in good shape. It was kind of neglected, and for it to be taken care of like that, there was a bad fence that was there that we tore out. There was a lot of good hard work that went on up there, which allows us to have events. One of the reasons why I stand here. This right here is one of the events we had. One of the events we had, probably my favorite event up there, on April 4th. Last year, we did an egg hunt for Easter, and we had 102 youth and their families come and sign up that participated in a beautiful day out there. I mean, it looks a little wet, as you can see that this blacktop that's in the back, because there's actually two blacktop areas, which I'll address in a minute. It was all wet, and you can see that that's part of the runoff, but that's one of the improvements we want to do too that I'll get to also in a minute. So 102 youth and their family members came up there. They had a great day. It was amazing. We had food and music and other activities for them. The problem with that event was parking. People were parking blocks down the street, sometimes in front of other people's houses, and it created kind of a chaotic, happened to walk 2 or 3 blocks up to the event and 2 or 3 blocks back down from the event. So that's one of the things we want to address first. Okay, so here's the coming into the playground, so I can address the parking issue. First of all, coming in, this right here is beautiful. It wasn't looking this nice, but whatever the city did to bring, I believe, Young Blood would have been your paving crew in this area, and they come in, and when they did the road, they actually paved the little side parts where parking was, and it wasn't grading up to here. Now, again, I'm gonna stand here, sorry. What we're looking to do is improve on parking in this area. The city owns all this area here, coming into here, so we were thinking to whatever this is. Thank you. You had it the whole time. Well, it's not going to show up anyway, so it don't matter. It was useless. So, nonetheless, we were looking to bring the paving back into here, all the way down here, put in some parking blocks, and then pave this area as well to have additional parking up there, so we're not impeding in other people's properties or areas when we do these improvements that will bring other people to this playground. Again, this right here, this area right here, we would like to remove this and replace parts of it. Parts of it needs to go, and other parts can be relocated in another area. And then this right here could also be parking. So, and of course, the grassroots organization that we are, we would want accessible parking, including van accessible parking that would allow people with disabilities to enjoy. This right here would be the third area that I think we should address with parking. The city owns up in this area. We can widen over here to the right, and we can also pull up in here and blacktop this area and add parking up there, so that way it'll make easier access for cars to come in and out of there. Speaking of in and out, there is only one way into this playground and one way out by vehicle. And I wanted 2 ways in, but understand the reason why there is only one way in and one way out, and I guess I accept that and agree with that. Here's just an idea of some of the equipment that we're looking to purchase there. This would not be the exact equipment, but we don't know exactly what we're gonna get because we're waiting for a budget. We are, and I'll tell you, we're looking for a budget, but we do have organizations that are doing the footwork for us to tell us what equipment would fit in this area, what equipment would not. But we are looking for sensory panels. If you can see some of those in the photos, of course, kids like slides and climbs. If you look at the bottom left hand in this area, this right here would be something that a person who uses a wheelchair can roll up on there, and then they can swing back and forth also and be enjoying the playground along with their peers. And so these are the things that we're looking to add there to make it an all-inclusive generational park. This right here is another thing. It's they call it a generational swing, where mommy can sit, and I'm sure you guys seen this, I just haven't seen it in the city of Newcastle. So mommy sits and she's facing her child and they're swinging back and forth, and I say mommy, it could be daddy, it could be grandma. Swinging back and forth with the child, so the child is seeing a safe face as they're enjoying the playground. We're looking to put things like cornhole boards up there. You guys do have these at Cascade Park. We're looking to hopefully put some up there, so that way grandfather can teach his 6-year-old son how to throw some cornhole bags and spend time with them. We don't want them, one of the things I did see up the playground is the father sitting down and the children over there playing. He's staring at his phone, they're not interacting. We want to create a place where they can interact. We also want to put an informational kiosk up there. These kiosks would be purchased by us and then installed by us as necessary. But these right here kiosks will be for people who may not do social media, may not buy the Newcastle News, may not know any other ways of getting information. So while they're up there playing with their children, they can look and see, hey, this is what's happening in the city, this is a map of this is a map of that. This right here is a chess board that we like to install up there, chess table rather, that you can teach your kids chess, checkers, bring your own checkers and chess boards and sit down and have a day at a beautiful place. Thing. And then finally, one of the things that we want to add is a rain garden. I mentioned that water that's sitting on top of that blacktop. I also mentioned that Smith Paving has donated blacktop. So one of the problems up there is that there is a water runoff. And we know what happens if you let water run off and sit on blacktop or keep beating on that blacktop. Eventually it's going to wear a lot sooner than what it should wear. Not only that, it runs off to the hill, and it's not even good for our sewer system. So for conservational reasons, we would like to add a rain garden up there. We do have an edible rain garden at the Lower East Side Community Garden, and it serves very well, and we would like to add one up there. And so I'm going to show you a video of what's happening up there. And then you can see in this video, there's a lot of room for us to dig back about 15 feet into the wooded area, creating not only a room for us to put in that rain garden, but also room for us to add other amenities to this playground. So it opened up so we can put equipment almost anywhere. Looking at the budget, again, we will know exactly what's going on. But what we do know is that we can't move forward at all without a resolution from the city that permits us to even go after the grant. And so in my final statements, I'm going to read a summary of what I just talked about, and then I'll be open for questions. So this project will enhance the Farrell Playground located in the DCED Elm Street designated area of Newcastle, PA, by creating a multi-generational park for the East Side Grove community. It is envisioned to provide access for all, regardless of abilities, from the youngest to the oldest residents seeking to gather and enjoy a recreational environment and fellowship. An application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and National Resources, DCNR, for a developmental grant will be submitted. Target date for the submission is March 15th. Grant requires a 1-to-1 match through Dawn's DCED Elm Street designated area. There is a grant available this summer that can be used for this project, and volunteer hours can also be used as a match. Our estimate is that at least $70,000 is available for match. Dawn will pay the preliminary engineering using RAR, and we're going to pay that through the Elm Street MPP, and we're going to look to, of course, thank West Banco and Dawn Management for that. And Dawn is awaiting a site plan from Play and Park to determine the budget. Play and Park completed the work at Marty Park, if you guys aren't familiar with that. Play and Park is CoStar's approved, and a resolution will be needed by the City of Council for permission to submit the application. The project of the scope includes playground equipment to be purchased and installed for accessibility and inclusiveness, including a parent-child swing, slides, climbers, wheelchair accessible rider, and sensory panels. Multiple generational equipment, including concrete chess tables and concrete cornhole boards. Parking lot improvements, and that will be based on a budget. Lighting and cameras for illumination and safety, and a rain garden installations for stormwater control and beautification. I'm open for questions.
I just want to clarify, so they're requesting from council, in my conversations with them, they're looking to go for the DCNR grant, for this, to fund this project, or partly fund this project. So, because it's a city-owned property and the process for administration to request a grant, they're gonna actually be the submitter of it, write the grant, but they need a resolution from the city and permission from council to do so. So that's what you guys are considering for that. What's the deadline for the grant?
I don't have a deadline date on the grant, but we are looking to submit it on around March 15th.
We'd like to get this thing moving because the implementation grant on the DCED side is this summer. So we'd like to get everything up and running by March 15th.
Okay.
And Mr. Fry said it exactly right. We're not going to be able to submit our application to the DCNR without a resolution from council permitting us to move forward with that application. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And I will get you that grant deadline information.
Sorry about that. I'm Robert DeBuono. I'm one of the attorneys for Dawn Enterprises. I'll just reiterate what Mr. Fry was saying, which is exactly right. So we'd like to do an implementation grant for some of the match funds. That's going to open up this summer. To keep everything moving forward and keep the momentum going, we'd like to get this application submitted to the DCNR by March 15th. But the reason we're here is we're not going to be able to submit that application without a resolution from council basically permitting us to move forward. It's your land. We need your permission. I think that you've seen everything that Mr. Rice had submitted, and so we basically need a resolution. And I can help with language with the attorneys if they're going to draft that.
Jonathan?
One thing we need to look at before the council would consider that is not only is this a DCNR grant application, United Way is also now asking us for the ability to apply for a DCNR grant for the Cascade Park Pool project, which I had intended to discuss tonight when that resolution came up on the table. And the city is also independently pursuing some DCNR. We're not.
We have one already awarded to it.
So all we need to do is try to determine if we're not competing against
Each other.
each other on those grants.
Is there a potential of that happening?
I think that you can. Okay.
And I think both organizations have reached out to DCNR regarding the types and the way DCNR works and views competitiveness. I don't believe that it would. Obviously, it's a competitive grant throughout the whole state. The key, I think, there's two distinctions. One is they're looking at an implementation grant, and then I think they're looking at a study, so a planning grant. So there's two different sides of the funding pot that are available through DCNR. city side, and this, I expressed this, I think, with Terry and some others that asked the question about it, is that we have a grant now through DCNR that's taking place at the Shawn. I think it was like $75,000 grant total, like $150,000 to do handicap accessible dugouts and parking. Our goal with, and I know working with Janine and Brian, is to get that completed, because we're looking at parks plan, a master parks plan is over $4 million. You know, we want to show ourselves approved, complete that project this year, and then work our way into maybe the 2025 year and prepare for a larger grant. So I didn't have any intentions on putting in any DCNR grants for this year, because we know we have to complete that one, fully administrate that one, and get it completed. So, and with these ones, I mean, these other two grants are also, you know, providing essentially the same thing that we want to provide, just in different pockets of the community. So I think it's more of a partnership opportunity for us to, you know, address, you know, a broader, broader scope in terms of the community, and then, you know, support the work that is happening with other agencies. So if that answers the question in terms of competitiveness, all in all, it's a competitive grant. I don't think we take away from ourselves by submitting.
Yeah, so what you're saying actually is that these grants are independent of each other, because they all have its unique characteristics.
Correct.
Therefore, they probably won't be competing against each other. What we don't want to do is hinder one at the expense of another.
Yeah, from what we've learned from the DCNR, they don't look unfavorably. We don't look, you know, as if we're competing against each other. It's two separate projects, implementation and planning. So they look at it in those different pots and what their intended use is for. Again, there's, in terms of getting awarded the money, it's competitive all across the state. So us putting in two doesn't negatively affect us, and give much reason for them to say no. It doesn't impact the competitiveness of the grant.
Okay, very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Who maintains ownership and making sure that like everything stays in good shape, like once the playground's installed? Is that still on us, the city, or you guys?
Yes, sir. This equipment will be city property. You guys will have ownership of it. So yes, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
We won't be giving up any ownership. This is just for them to allow them to raise the grant. And as you saw, continue to organize up there. Hopefully, after the Elm Street designation, doesn't go anywhere for a long time, because it is. I grew up in that neighborhood, and it's a lot different from 20 years ago. But there's a lot of great work that's going on. But we'll continue to do these projects and organize around just making the space useful and inviting the community up there. So we're happy with this partnership for sure.
Absolutely. If I can also say, we're just doing the application on behalf of the city. Is what we're asking of you. It's your property, it's your application. We're just doing the footwork and getting all the things in order for this playground to be approved. Also stating that, for those who don't know, the Elm Street designation does bring a priority when it comes to grant. So that's one of the benefits of the hard work that we're doing up there, that if we go after the grant, like admin said, it's very competitive, but the fact that we are a designation weighs favorably with these organizations.
Thank you, Ken. Impressive.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Under Planning Commission reports, we set a public hearing date for conditional use request, Dusty on Walker Community Outreach located at 205 East Reynolds Street and 1141 South Mill Street. Public hearing date and time?
These both can be done.
Both of them?
There's no additional time restraints. You could do both on March 4th if you'd like.
Okay, let's do both on the B as well. Subdivision request, Marie Iron Trimble and Raymond Maglioka, located at 122.5 North Walnut Street, 122 North Walnut Street. May 4th?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, March 4th?
March 4th, what time?
5:30 again.
Do you want to advertise both at the same time?
Yeah.
Then you can
Yeah,
do
let's do it.
Okay.
Shouldn't take long.
I talked to Miss Clark about that today, and she was wondering, she thought she had to be here today, but I informed her she didn't. She was just platform, how long would she have for her presentation?
Probably 15, 20 minutes. I don't think would she be longer than that?
I don't think so. I think 5 to 10 minutes is perfect.
Okay, under petitions of eight streets, alleys, and zoning map, there are none. Request a bid, we have two. Sell a property on East Hillcrest Avenue, that's parcel ID number 023033300, which are 3 lots, and scrap metal.
Any questions about these?
I have questions of
Yeah.
the scrap metal, but I'd like to keep it for executive session.
Okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
They both going on the agenda? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say for the East Hillcrest Avenue, we will, after you guys vote, or if you vote in favor of it, we will have to do a deed search for that property, just to check to see if there's any issues in terms of funding that have, come down the pike in years previous. A lot of city properties have had those restrictions on it, so we'll double check that, yes, sir.
Is this right, it's a city park, correct?
Correct, yeah. Baseball field, and then there's like 2 other lots that are wooded, so we'll check those when the time comes, before we put anything out publicly.
Okay, and the bids to receive and open, there are none. Bids open, referred to administration for recommendation. We have the Super Fave Hot Mix contract number 2024-01. Lindy Paving bid $73.25. Am I reading that right per ton? Or is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
73.25, and that's actually down. 23 was 74.60, so that's a better price.
Okay, and $18. What is this? I can't
It's
read it.
$73.25.
Okay, it's 18,320.
If we purchase the amount we budgeted, and that's paid from liquid fuels.
That is. Under the sale of timber on city property, contract number 2024-02, Troy Forestry Management has bidded $26,700, and Mountain Run Forestry LLC $28,750.
We'll recommend it from the administration that we go with Mountain Run Forestry at the highest bid.
Right, highest bid. And that's at Graceland, correct? Forestry.
Yeah, the property is adjacent to Graceland, it's right behind it, so the access point would have to be Graceland. And talking to Mountain Run Forestry, they actually are doing work at Graceland now, and I was able to confirm with the management there that they are actually doing work there currently, and they would have access to our property through theirs without any issues. Sure, I did not speak with them regarding that, but the property owner did express that this Mountain Run, who was the highest bidder anyways, already has access if they need it.
And they'll be responsible for cleanup. I mean, I know it's a wooded area, but they're, like, in their contract, that includes cleanup and everything.
It includes all this.
And then where would the $28,750 go to that
So,
we're receiving?
Right now, we can earmark that to a reserve account. And I know in discussing it with Stephanie, that's, the reserve is, just basic one in terms of where we put it, and it'll have to be, approved by council to move out of it.
So is that what you want in the resolution?
Yeah.
In the resolution, it will go into the capital reserve?
Capital reserve.
Hopefully it'll work out. Okay, resolution for consideration, zoning board member appointment. A resolution is needed to appoint Mr. Brian Ball. Letter of interest has been attached to an alternate position to replace Mr. Joseph, who was appointed as a full-time member. Okay. Under the PCCD grant, JAG PCCD grant, a resolution will be needed to allow the city to submit a grant application for a maximum amount of $250,000 over 2 years to purchase police equipment, including new Taser 10s and other items. A grant application will be prepared and submitted by Mary Kosick. And then the message centers in the Elm Street area. Dawn Enterprise Incorporated is seeking permission via resolution to install 3 message centers. The photos attached for the Elm Street area at the corner of East Washington Road and at the triangle owned by the Newcastle Transit Authority on Court Street across from the Government Center and on a Dawn parcel at North Crawford and Erie Streets. Dawn is requesting to install them as official sign without a permit under section 1332.05 D4 via ordinance 7903, which was passed 11/12/2009.
Attorney DeBono's here if anybody has any questions for that. I know, I think Kenny actually gave an example of the display, but you also have pictures of it, so if there's any questions from council, Mr. DeBono stays back to answer those.
You're putting 3 message centers up, and these are to essentially, throughout the Elm Street designation, what's going to be the use for the message centers? Like, what are we looking to?
If I can give you a little bit of background. So as part of the Elm Street designation, there's a matrix that goes along with that. You have to hit certain, elements, and that allows you to keep that designation. So on this matrix, there's literally probably 30 different items. One of them is information centers, so kiosks. So Dawn Enterprises went out and purchased the kiosks. We've spoken to the Transit Authority. We've spoken to the county, and then the third kiosk we're asking goes on our own property, on Dawn Enterprises property. So they're supposed to be like entryways into the neighborhood as part of this Elm Street designation. So the kiosks are information points. And just like Mr. Rice alluded to earlier, basically just things going on in the neighborhood. There's a crime watch that meets up there regularly. There's food giveaways. Kenny, help me out. What else do we have going on?
Just mappings of the area in order to find places, information on any activities or events. Activities or events that we have.
I'll speak to the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not like there's a Hallelujah event that they were doing at the church. And there's a night out every year that Dawn Enterprises helps do. So
Cleanups.
Yeah, cleanups are going on, and then the trail down there by Croton. So there's a number of things going on, and it would be those things. The reason we're asking for the resolution, if I can go into that for 30 seconds, just so you understand why we're doing this. Attorney DeRosa is one of the other attorneys down at Dawn Enterprises. He and I poured over the sign ordinance for hours, and we can't, for the life of us, determine if a kiosk is a sign or not, right? Because it's kind of the purpose of a sign, because you're going to be posting stuff in it. But on the other hand, in and of itself, a kiosk isn't a sign. It's just a structure that has some glass on the front of it. As we were looking through the ordinance, we came across this section here, and it basically indicates, and I can check with your solicitors if we're doing this right, and we're just trying to do this the right way, but it allows for a resolution to be passed to make it an official sign with, like I said, it's going to be just neighborhood postings and stuff, but that will permit us to actually post those without having the legal analysis of just trying to determine if it's a sign, if it needs a sign permit and all of that. That's what led us here.
Who's going to be monitoring the signs? Who's going to be approving postings on the signs and stuff like that?
So we have the Elm Street program for 2 more years, and then an optional for a third. So Kenny would be in charge of making sure everything is appropriate and everything in there. But it's basically going to be done. Well, I think we had the Transit Authority and the county asked if they wanted to put stuff in there if they were permitted, and we said that would be fine. But basically it would be Dawn Enterprises, but we're open to whatever. If a city, person wants to be in charge of that, that's fine as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and the purchase request, again with Mr. Seipel, attached to request for a resolution and CoStar for our review. Consideration for Mr. Heupel for 2023 Ford 250 in an amount of $59,402 from McCandless Ford to be paid from the 2024 CIP funds. Question?
There's been one modification to this in that I was speaking with Terry with the Finance Committee. Instead of putting, we're trying to get the payment around $10,000 a year because that's what's budgeted, right? So we thought if we initially thought Brian was going to get $20,000 for everything he had on municipal pit. So putting $20,000 down and financing $39,402, the payment would actually be $8,840. Now, after talking to Brian again today, we think that number that he's going to get, he has 2 items that are pending. We're not sure of, so we're thinking it's more like $15,000. So what I can do is I can re-get the quote for $15,000 down. I'm guessing it's going to be like a little over $9,000. So we're still going to be with that $10,000.
Okay,
So
that's very good.
what I can do is I can get you, I'll get the final numbers from the financing people tomorrow, and that can go on the agenda Thursday. I If that's what you wanna do, we'll just.
Yeah.
This kind of makes sense because we were trying to think about how we're getting this down to 10,000 and, you know, covering that extra $2,900 every year, but if we can just throw a lump sum down, you know, like you would purchase any car and then get that payment down.
Yeah.
And the numbers just start to make sense, especially at this interest rate.
Okay.
What's the interest rate?
The interest rate's 3.6
6
rate, which is really good. It's a government financing rate, and this rate applies only if you're buying CoStars. So they can only do municipal leasing if it's a CoStars item.
Okay, under resolutions, there are 3 for ordinance for consideration. There are none. Ordinance on the table attached to the caucus agenda for review is the planning and zoning code for the conditional use. Conditional use requests, there are none. For discussion, none. Under new business, we have none.
You know about the resolutions on the table?
Resolutions on the table. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, sir. R 2023-178. So, what I'd like council to do, if they would be so kind, for Thursday would be amend that resolution on the lease option agreement. And the amendment, which we'll draft in the interim, will authorize United Way to apply for a DCNR grant for the Cascade Park Pool project for a feasibility study.
Feasibility.
So there's a couple steps to get DCNR funding for that pool project. Basically, DCNR won't really look at any larger funding unless a feasibility study is done. And that grant for that study through DCNR needs to be applied for. United Way wants to do so on behalf of the city of Newcastle. I believe their grant deadline is April 1st. In order to do that, similar to the Farrell Playground grant, we would need a resolution authorizing United Way to do that. At the same time, that'll take that off the table as a revised amended amendment. Down the road, we can reintroduce a lease option agreement once we're at that point.
Okay.
They haven't done these studies already?
So this will be off the table and amended for Thursday. We'll have the amended resolution prepared.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Mayor, is the 2002-3208 and 2002-4034, those can be put on and you vote those both down. Both of those trucks have been sold, so there's no sense leaving those on the table.
Correct. Okay, on the table, as I said, is the conditional use city church. Conditional use requests, none. For discussion, we have none. New business, we have none. And
I did
exact-
for new business, if it's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
For new business, I would like to bring up the appointment of our 7th council member seat if possible. Are we able to discuss more details in executive session under personnel?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Again, I think it was February 13th. News article put out there that we were split on the vote. I just want to nominate Eddie Bogart for the 7th council member seat. If that's okay.
Yeah, we'll discuss this in executive session.
Perfect.
Okay, executive session, we'll do that as personnel. And also, pending and threatened litigation, Shenango China site, and the update on legal matters, potential contract negotiation with Totem Realty Advisors. There will be no sale, lease of property, says none.
Oh, the scrap metal.
Is it like
Okay. Oh, yeah, the scrap metal. Yeah, we'll speak about that. Okay. In upcoming meetings, the fire prevention meeting is on Thursday, February 8th, 5:50.
I'm sorry, Mark, that's wrong. It's the 22nd. That's a typo. It's
Yeah, it is
Thursday.
February, right.
Yeah.
22nd. Okay, let me repeat. Fire prevention meeting is on Thursday, February 22nd, 5:50 p.m. City council meeting is on this Thursday, February 22nd. And there'll be a public hearing on Monday, February 19th.
You can ignore that.
We can ignore that, supplementary plans. Okay, conditional use again, right. Okay, so this meeting will be adjourned.
Motion.
And second by Mr. Ward. Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Rosanna.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yep.
Mayor List.
Yes, okay, then we move into executive session.